Hi everybody, I'm so excited to have Dr. Joyce Marrie with us today. Dr. Joyce Marrie is a resident of Richfield. She's an author, she's an artist. Really, I think you're just a Renaissance woman overall, and I'm really happy to have you here today. So we're going to learn a little bit about Crossroads Panorama, your organization, and all the tremendous work you're doing. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I feel honored to be here and to be a part of the Richfield community. I just want to say that it's been a delight. It's a delight to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
We're very lucky to have you in our community, Dr. Joyce. Could you share a little bit about Crossroads Panorama, an organization here in Richfield that you started and lead?
Okay, Crossroads Panorama started over 37 years ago, and it started with working with destituted, those that were in troubled, dire situations. They came to the Crossroads and looking for help. And so we were there I started writing, and as a result of that, plays became forth and became like a therapy, and like a mirror reflecting the people's lives through the message. So, and that's what I always like to say, is like the mirror, looking into a looking glass and seeing yourself, and then coming to grips with your life, and then walking it out into the direction, positive direction. Mm-hmm.
So what do you do at Crossroads Panorama? What kind of activities do you support?
Well, the activities that we support, first of all, we do writers, storytellers workshops, which is very impactful because the youth are able to write their story. Some of them have never written before. This is what I like about it. Kids that get involved, they don't know what they want to do, they don't have a purpose or whatever. But getting involved, it helps them to build their self-esteem. So therefore, we have a poetry contest. We write, and then I have them get up and basically recite their poems that they have written. They are so inspired in this little gathering when we come together. And then we have our plays that, like, again, they're therapeutic because they deal with everyday life situations. Mm-hmm. And so they empower them to be successful. And that's what our mission is, to be able to have them experience key skills to lifelong learning experiences so that they can move forward in life. Mm-hmm. And so those are some of the programs we're starting. We also, right now, we have a podcast, and that will be aired in November. We're doing videos right now, but basically it's called Listen to My Story. And this is an opportunity for the youth and the young adults to tell their story and to express themselves. Today, we need a lot of relationship building, and we need to have a heart for each other. So dialogue is important for one another to talk and express their feelings and how they feel. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to impact lives in families. And so that's another added one.
So in addition to being such a tremendous leader of Crossroads Panorama and doing such great work with kids, with older adults, with all kinds of people, and really inspiring that leadership and creativity in them, you're also an author, you're also an artist, a performance artist yourself. You just do so many great things. And you recently released this amazing book that I have, that I'm reading through right now, called Breaking the Chains of Trauma. And it's just a beautiful, heartfelt, and touching story of Sojourner Truth and learning all of the tremendous things that she went through and that historical trauma that she faced. And not only do you share that story of hers, but you also have questions. So every single day you get to walk through a piece of her story, but then you also get to reflect on questions relating to your own trauma and the things that you're experiencing. And I also love how you connecting to something deeper, the spiritual component, but it's not necessarily religious. It's about spirituality. And so I'm halfway through it because I'm going day by day.
Well, I'm excited that you're reading.
I love it. This is exactly what I need. And I think especially with all the things going on with the impact on COVID, on our mental health, on our physical health, the racial injustices that we're seeing, this book is so timely. So can you tell us a little bit more about the book?
Well, basically, I wrote this book, Breaking the Chains of Trauma, because we were in the pandemic. I think it was April at that time. And my heart goes out. Like I said, I'm a community person. I'm always impacting lives and encouraging people to move forward. And I don't like negativity. And that energy does not come in our setting. But this book was, it was during the time of the pandemic, and where I said, you know what, where everybody's fearing problems and wondering what's going to happen, what's going to be our next norm, what's going on, and questions. My question was to myself, how do I have, confidence in where I'm at versus falling into the fear? And so I thought that faith was my move to move forward and to write. And so this is what this book has been. It's breaking the chains, like I said, again, of trauma, but it also is the story of Sojourner Truth. And I use her story because I believe she has a powerful story. We talk about Harriet Tubman, but basically her story is almost untold. And a lot of times in history has been taken apart, and we don't have all our history. And so I wanted this history to come forth. I also want to make it relevant. So the book is giving you an opportunity to process some things, like with all the things with the racism going in the world. Sojourner Truth has gone through. We have abuse in the world, child abuse, and all kinds of violence. She has went through much rape in her life, and being an overcomer against all odds. I mean, in the midst of trauma. When I look at trauma, I look at the pain that she went through. Even her own son being sold and taken from the New York to taken south, and he was 5 years old, and beaten and abused, and the pain of a mother feeling that pain because she already has that pain, and being able to connect that pain. And so she was driven to get her son back, and it was unheard of at that time to have a black woman in the courthouse to fight a white man, and she was illiterate. She didn't read. And so she got her help from the Quakers. But anyway, I just saw that story. That story took gravitate to me because it was impacting the way she handled things and the way she went in there. And the child itself was tense and disturbed because he didn't even know that was his mother, but the fear of speaking something, and yet knowing later he would get a beating. But he lied, and he was in that victim mentality that, hey, I don't want to hurt this person, and if I hurt them, then they're going to beat me. So when the judge asked how he got the scar on his forehead, he said he lied. And so the judge finally told him that Sojourner was his mother, and he was able to go to her, but he went kicking and screaming and everything else. So I look at all this trauma that kids go through today, and how that there's a lot of abuse. There's human trafficking, child molestations, all kinds of things that are going on. So with the trauma, writing this in a way that we're reflecting, it's a lot of questions that I ask. I ask questions. I ask you to search yourself. Do you feel how were you when you was a child? What did you feel like? Taking people back. Sometimes we have to go back in order to move forward. In the African heritage, they have a tradition that says Sankofa, that's looking back and moving forward. And so so a lot of times we look back, not to stay there and not to stay in that trauma, but to move forward. And so this is one reason why I wrote the book, is to empower and to have history, but yet the same token bring healing. And we found that people were hurting so bad that they needed to be healed. And once I've had people already read the book, and they said, wow, I want my daughter, like I said, generations of people to read and to know that they can come through it, And so I just thought that there was a time of need for healing with all the things that were going on. And then the racism, the systemic racism with people that are going through, just because of the skin color. It's crazy that we would fight all this time and burn buildings and skin color, and it has impacted me that way too, because we all have a story. We all have greatness within inside of us. And that's why I tell the young people, I say, you tap into your potential. Potential is the sum of who you are. And so when you tap into that potential, then you can connect with your purpose, because then you find your destiny. So it's so important for me to empower and to continue. I'm only a piece of the puzzle, but there's other people that can join as a community and begin, and not to say I'm the only one doing it, but there are all other people doing it. But once we come unified and we find that we can collectively work together without the culture, diversity, where we're having problems with this race and that race, but learning how to work together. And that's one reason why I wrote the book, for us to be challenged to think about where we are, where do we want to go. And when we're in that trauma, you can come out of that trauma because you can birth a new vision. And that's why I have on the cover, it's the baby and the mother, because it's letting you know that you can birth a new vision. And as Sojourner did, she was able to see the president of the United States. She was able to, this woman was able to do all these things. If you look at that, that was unheard of at that time. So that's, what the book is really impacting to me. So, because it's first me, because you first have to be partaker of the fruit, so I had to be a partaker of this, in this life. And in order to give it out, and you have to be, and see, one thing I want to do, and even with this book, is I'm realizing that people don't like to tell the truth. So they hide. So you hide, and honesty is the most valuable thing that you can do, because it frees you. It frees you. So we're talking about freedom. We're talking about being free. We're talking about freedom in the mind. And I talk about a slave mentality, and that's what I talked about Peter, as he was 5 years old, abused, but when he grew up, because Sojourner was able to regain him, but then he was in the house of the Quaker, where the Quaker people, they read the Bible, they prayed and things like that, and he was doing fine. But as he got older, she wanted him to be in a trade school and different things that she wanted him to work, and he was doing that. But he still, in his old age, he still had a slave mentality, because he was still dealing with the hurt and the pain that as a child. Couldn't have social skills, communication. That was important for him. And so that's one reason writing this book has stirred me, and as it stirred Sojourner to go into the courtroom, it's still stirring me to fight for equal rights, to fight like she did, fight for women's rights, and realizing that she left a legacy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joyce. Oh my gosh, we are so fortunate to have you in our community. I think everything you're saying is so impactful to me personally, but also something that we need to hear as an entire community. How do we look at our trauma that we've experienced throughout generations and in our own community and as individuals? And how do we use that in a process of healing and growth and creating a future that's more inclusive, that's better for everybody?
Yeah.
And so how can people get this book, and how can people read along, and how can people contribute to the tremendous leadership that you're doing and all the great work that you're doing here in Richfield? How can people get involved?
Thank you so much. You're so kind. I love you. But, I would say that Crossroads, we could utilize volunteers. Right now, as we've been working a lot online and doing a few things, but as maybe next year, we'll be able to grow, so we'll need volunteers to do different tasks and jobs for programming. Also behind the scenes of raising funds. And that's one thing right now. We need funds for Crossroads right now. Being able to, you can actually go on the website, www.crossroadspanorama.com, and make your donation. You'll see our website and all the information, get more information about what we're doing and where we're going. So, and then also with the book, you can go on drjoycemarrie.com and order your book there. And I'm sure you will find that as you read it, you will find yourself in there. And maybe not everything is there for you, but it's very impacting to just in thought. It's a food for thought, you get food for thought, just a little bit of, like you eat your vegetables and all that, you can get a little food from this book, and it can help you internally in your spirit.
Absolutely, and I second that. This book is coming at a right time for me. So thank you for
Yes.
speaking with me, and please support Crossroads Panorama, get your book, and contribute to the amazing efforts of Dr. Joyce Marrie in building community here in Ridgefield. Thank you for visiting us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Appreciate it.